Ex roofied me so she could get pregnant. Didn't work, can't get off when I am fucked up, massive headache in the morning though. That's got to be the worst kind of attempted sexual assault on here. What a lunatic, I am so sorry. Hope you got as far away from her as you could immediately. It was closer to rape. A woman took advantage of my blackout state and performed sexual acts on me. Don't want to get into detail about the incident, but when I told my then girlfriend, she saw it as cheating and left me. Though for a while it broke me, when I moved back home I realized it was the best worst thing to happen to me because it got me out of a relationship where I almost took my life over it, the relationship, without realizing she was the issue in my life. That's messed up, man. I'm happy you're alive, bro, smiley face. Scottish here. Pretty much any time I wear a kilt when outside of Scotland I will get girls pull my kilt up to see if I really was commando. 99% of the time it's from behind, but a few times they actually tried to get a look at my junk. I shout and get offended, and everyone laughs. That is screwed up. 4/5 of a year ago at a party I ended up passing out on a bed and I came around, then there was a random girl on top of me attempting to take my trousers off, didn't know her at all. Never got up so quick from after being in a drinking, drugged state, ran straight to the toilet and chundered. Was pretty overwhelming. I'm 24 now and still a virgin. Think subconsciously this has made me feel uncomfortable around women. Not had a relationship either. Mostly I thought any teenager my age at the time would take the opportunity, which is also a bit of a confidence breaker. Probably the worst thing about it is the room was full of people that didn't intervene. I only actually spoke about this a few months ago to other people. I've kinda just kept it locked up. Jesus, there were other people in the room? That's fucked, man. I thought it was in a bedroom or something. Not necessarily sexually harassed, but a girl turned up to my bedroom after a party once. She was insistent that I wanted to sleep with her and got really offended when I said I didn't. Lol. Really awkward conversation. Lol. Dude, that is textbook sexual harassment. Imagine a man busting into a woman's room and telling her she wanted to sleep with him. Some would define that as threat of rape. When I was 17 at my friend's birthday party, his mum's friend followed me into the toilet and locked the door behind her. I was quite drunk, she must have been in her early, mid-40s. Embarrassed and intoxicated I said, "Wow, an older woman." She replied in her Irish accent, "Is that what you're saying to me?" She started to kiss me and grab at my jeans. Later on in the night she put a pill in my mouth, closed my jaw and pushed my drink up to my face. The pill was ecstasy. Next thing I know I was in a car and I ended up back at my friend's mum's house. I was completely rushing. She continued kissing me and was trying to take me upstairs, but I was in a state and kept making excuses. She soon left and I woke up on the couch in the morning. At first I felt embarrassed that I didn't give her what she wanted, then I saw a funny side to it. Now I'm older I realize the seriousness of what she did. Holy shit. You saved her jail time. Some years ago, I worked in an office dominated by women, from upper management to the lowest interns. I was the head of their IT department. They would proposition me constantly, touch my arms, hands, and thighs, and sit uncomfortably close to me whilst rubbing against me. The worst one, though? One followed me into the restroom and forcibly tried to push me into one of the stalls while her hand was on my crotch. I pushed her off me and went to open the door only to find 2 more coworkers standing guard. Resigned the following day. Wow. I work in a similar position with lots of women and was expecting similar to what I have experienced, and then I kept reading. WTF, dude? I would have resigned too. I would get comments about my ass regularly, asked to turn around when it was noticed I had new jeans, and one woman on her last day asked if she could have a hug. I agreed and she double-palmed my ass during the hug and said she'd always been wanting to do that. I was in line at Wrigley Field waiting to enter. This was about 4 years ago. This group of 3 older women in their late 40s or 50s were behind me giggling, then one of them started fondling my back, so I moved forward out of their reach. They giggled harder and did it again. I turned and asked them to stop and they just laughed, and then while I was facing them the woman reached for my stomach, crotch area, and I just stepped back and slapped her hands loudly saying, "Stop trying to touch me, I do not like it." They stopped laughing and stood back, and thankfully I was able to move forward and they kept their distance. I wish I called security on them. Bruh, if you were a woman and they were men they would totally be in jail for sexual harassment and stalking. This is so fucked up. Why do people think this is normal? 3 a.m. in a small cafe, I'm approached by this lady who is at least 8 years older to me. Thinking nothing much of it, I started making small talk with her, when she abruptly goes, "Let's go back to my place and have sex." Me. No thank you. I have a girlfriend, and am quite committed to her. Plus, she wasn't my type, but I didn't feel the need to tell her that. Her. Come on. She won't know. Just don't tell her. Me. Look, like I said, I am really not interested. Her. You're probably a virgin and afraid to have sex with me. You don't think I'm beautiful? At this point, I just get up and go. It's really shitty of you to be trying to coerce a committed man into cheating on his girlfriend. You should be ashamed of yourself. And walk off. I hope she remembers the lesson she learned in this rejection. Good on you for being bold enough to set those boundaries. I can think of 3 or 4 times in my life where I've had unwanted sexual touching by a woman. Realistically, if a man had done the same thing to a woman, it would have been called sexual assault, and in one case, rape. Once was a female boss in her 30s when I was about 20, we were on a work night out. She kept, jokingly, putting her hands up my t-shirt and down the waistband of my trousers, sometimes grabbing my pubes. I really didn't like it, and pulled away every time, but because of the power dynamic I didn't know what to do. I'm not going to go into detail about the rape, but it's just about something moving much faster than I was comfortable about at the time, and being ignored when I said no. I am sorry this happened to you. People can be so shitty. A girl grabbed my ass cheeks while we were waiting in line to go to lunch. The teacher blamed me when I yelped in surprise. This was in middle school. That was the first of many lessons that no one gives a fuck about boys or men getting sexually harassed or assaulted. You're luckier than so many to have found that out at a young age. When I worked in a bar abroad, a woman kept trying to kiss me, drag me into the bathroom, try to convince me to give her my number so she could send me nudes, etc. She wouldn't take no for an answer. Eventually her husband exploded and blamed me. Most uncomfortable experience of my life. Makes you feel like you're barely a person. Fucking disgusting. Greater than makes you feel like you're barely a person. The feeling I get every time men harass me. Never heard a man say they had this experience before in this way. I'm sorry you know what this feeling is like. There is a bar in my hometown that tends to be frequented generally by older people, think anywhere from 30 to 50-year-olds. As it's slightly away from the younger side of town, it's really nice bar and does great drinks. Went there couple times in my early 20s with my GF and some other friends on a Saturday. In that one evening I must have had my junk grabbed or squeezed at least 5 times while trying to get to the bar from older women or having my ass grabbed. I wasn't that bothered then, and I remember mentioning it to my friends at the time. The other guys there had similar experience. It's mad that as a guy you're kind of not expected to kick up a fuss about this stuff. Reaction from my girlfriends was basically making a joke out of it, but looking back it's a crazy aggressive thing to just grab and squeeze some guy's cock and balls for no reason and think that's okay because you're a woman. I was at a party and I basically passed out in the bathroom. Then these 2 girls came in and they decided to kiss me on the lips, take my shirt off, remove my trousers and touch my crotch. I was completely unconscious and I only know about this cause these girls recorded it all. The day after I asked for all pics and vids cause I didn't take any photos. These girls while sober sent that vid of them doing those things to me on the group chat. All my mates and myself confronted them saying it was fucked up, but they said there was nothing wrong cause men like it. Then one of girls' boyfriends saw the video and decided to find me and friends to delete the video. Which ended up in a big fight. A week later he tries to force me to apologize to his girlfriend about what happened in the bathroom. It makes me furious and physically sick thinking about it. I don't normally get violent, but I'm pretty sure I'd have put the BF in hospital for daring to ask me to apologize. Fuck that guy. When I was in college I lived on campus in a co-ed apartment, 2 bedrooms with 2 girls and 2 guys. I was a transfer student so I didn't know any of my roommates. One of the girls had a thing for me but I wasn't interested. She would talk about how she wanted to get me drunk so she could take advantage of me. At first I thought she was joking, but she was serious about it. It got to the point where I wouldn't leave my bedroom if she was in the apartment. I was very happy when she transferred out after the first quarter. WTF. Sexually harassed and assaulted multiple times. When you're a big guy people take a lot of liberties with you. Was also groomed by a dominatrix when I was 17, but that's another story. So let's say I'm the opposite of a big guy, right? Would that mean people don't take a lot of liberties with me? It would make sense, as I've never been sexually harassed, at least not yet. An older Latina lady used to babysit me and a bunch of kids. She would make us do sexual acts on or to each other. It messes up my life for years and I'm still suffering. But it does get better with effort and hard work. The trauma sucks, but it's okay to cry. I'm sorry for every dude who has gone through this. I have, and it's so lonely. No one can relate, and if they do, the whole be a man shit gets in the way of talking about it. Thanks for asking, I feel better. Yeah, that ain't sexual harassment, it's straight up child molestation. I'm a working student and we're really understaffed at the company I'm working at. That means, my colleagues depend on especially when the pressure rises. In one of those high pressure periods, I was basically working overtime every day. In Germany, you are only allowed to work 20 hours a week as a working student, so it isn't that hard. I did a good and efficient job and helped my 3 female colleagues, who are all sharing one office. I get into the room and tell them I got a task completed and if there is anything else to do or if I can leave. The conversation was as follows. C1. You really are our fire brigade today with all the assistants, me. That's what I'm here for. So? C2. Only thing that's missing is you to take out your fire hose, C1. I bet that pipe could be used on my fire, C3. He could spray me any day thing, me. Excuse me? C2. Oh come on, don't act like you wouldn't save 3 young women from their needs. I just left, too stunned to speak. The man was too stunned to speak. When I was 18 I worked concert security and a lady grabbed me by the chode. Was looking for a job a few years ago and was willing to relocate for the right spot. Long story short, this 300-pound hiring manager fell in love with me from across the world, flew me in for an interview, hired me, and over the next few months began to make her moves. The longer I stayed the worse it got, and when I would deny her advances, she'd make my work life a living hell. She's make sure I got the less than desirable tasks, spread lies about me to hurt me both professionally and personally. Made it pretty miserable to work there as I had zero interests in dating or the hookup culture. The worst part is that she was family to the company, had worked there forever, her mom was the GM and the owner babysat her as a child. Needless to say my cries fell on deaf ears. Before I quit, I found out I wasn't the first person she did this to. Fuck you, Paige. All my homies hate the Landwhale Paige. A really drunk girl was all over me once in a club whilst I was on holiday. She was insistent on coming back to mine. I was also very drunk but could tell how far gone she was. All of her friends had gone. She wanted to come back to mine, but because of how drunk she was I told her I would take her back to her hotel. She wouldn't and came back to mine instead. She pretty much passed out as soon as she got back. I would have refused any advances from her anyway. About 2 hours later I wake up to her full on grinding on top of me. I put a stop to it and we went back to sleep. In the morning she was saying how drunk she was and how I could have easily taken advantage of her and done anything. When I told her what she did she just laughed. I had her on Facebook and a week or so later she posted something about women being sexual harassed and their outfits of something. I wasn't too bothered by it, but I can't help but to think how serious it would be if the gender roles were reversed.